Hi everyone, I'm Lady Teddy. I'm going to be reading to you guys from Magium, which is a text-based choose-your-own-adventure story app that is free on both Android and iOS, and it's really good, so I highly recommend you guys download it and play it for yourself. There's a lot of different paths that you can take. If anyone has any questions about what's going on, feel free to ask. If you don't want to play it for yourself, all of my previous readings are on YouTube in a Magium playlist. I know that a lot of people like to just sort of listen to this and fall asleep, and that is totally fine, or if you guys just want to relax or pass out. But if there's anyone that would like to participate, if it's a good Smart Berry playthrough, so if it's a good or smart choice, I will generally make the decision, but if it is just sort of a conversational or directional path, then I will tell you guys, read what the options are, and give you guys about a minute. Whatever the majority of you guys pick is what I will go with. Otherwise, I will just pick a path if no one says anything. Do they use lotion in the Magium? I don't... Well, first of all, Magium is a thing in Magium, but in the story, they probably use lotion, but they don't really discuss it. If they need healing, they usually have spells or potions. Yeah, I think I covered my spiel, so without further ado, I will actually remember to turn the music off this time, because I forgot last time. I want to let you guys know that all of my sound alerts are turned off right now, so I would not mention... I would not recommend. They use it in the unmentioned bathroom. Well, they, are normally camping, so... Unmentioned bathroom is probably a hole behind a tree. You redeemed a hydrate. No one in their party has a staff yet. There's a magic sword. Hadrick is hand-to-hand combat. Barry has a sword and a dagger and a crossbow. Kate is magic and hand-to-hand combat. I think that's it. Who else is in the party? Flower/Luna is magic and hand-to-hand combat, mostly magic. Layla is stat device, so hand-to-hand combat. I think that's it. Melindra is magic and hand-to-hand combat. Although, honestly, it's just magic. Magic and avoiding. Like, magic and running away. That's Melindra's go-to. Not that you guys would know that yet. Wow, it's already up. So what happened now is they just figured out that Barry just realized that what Eden has been doing is using loopholes in magic, and that's why he's very annoying to fight, even though he's already very powerful, so it doesn't matter too much. And he realized that the reason that Eden's able to make Barry fall asleep, even though Barry has sleep protection, is because Barry overloaded his magical protections, so now he is trying to figure out where the overload is so they can fix it. They're about to go on an adventure to kill the King of Allendor on behalf of Melindra, who's a Stillwater girl. I think that's all, yeah. Stream has been good. I beat Resident Evil 2, Claire A. I got a C+, or just C. Didn't do very well. And she's asking who got the lotion? Wait, me? Or Realjet? Realjet is asking why my forehead's so shiny, and it's because I put on lotion. You said I was above average. So if C is just average, then C plus would be above average. Right? You know, I think my shoulder's out of place. I'm gonna go pop it before I start BRB. You were joking. No, I'm not gonna go grab the lotion. It's in another room, and I don't want to leave the room. Okay, so without further ado, I'm wearing shorts under my dress because they have pockets. Nope, shorts. But thank you for the warning. I appreciate it. Barry, how long are you planning to stare at that piece of paper? Darren says. I told you there are no conflicts between my protection spells. No matter how many times you check, you can't find something that is not there. I ignore Darren and I continue to look at the piece of paper lying on the ground in front of me, while I cross-check the information on it with what I have written in my notebook. The paper has all of Darren's protections written on it, and I was able to find detailed information for most of these spells in my notebook, but I still haven't managed to find the loophole that Eden used to put Darren to sleep. Hadrick is also sitting on the ground beside me, looking at the list of spells and throwing wild guesses, but it's clear that he doesn't really know enough about white magic to be able to make any reasonable assessments. Flower has also tried to look at the paper and at my notebook a few times, but she eventually gave up, saying that it was causing her a headache. Luna, on the other hand, announced from the very beginning that she wouldn't participate in our brainstorming session because her knowledge of white mage protection spells was too limited to be able to contribute in any meaningful way. Hey, Hadrick tells me, doesn't this protection spell from illusions have a similar chant to that protection spell over there? Couldn't that be what's causing the conflict? No, I say. There are plenty of spells with similar sounding chants, and that's never caused a conflict as far as I know. It has to be something else. Maybe, or something obvious I'm missing. I'm going to start again from the beginning to see if I didn't skip an important detail somewhere or something. Oh, come on, Darren says, exasperated. Hasn't it crossed your mind that maybe Eden was just pulling your leg back there? Why would he even tell you his weakness? What possible reason could he have to do such a thing? I do have tap water. Aren't you the one that told me your greatest weakness a few minutes after we met? I ask him while raising an eyebrow. Yeah, but that's different, Darren says. Anyone could tell that my shield spell is weak against enchanted weapons after seeing me fight for a while. Wait, you were weak against enchanted weapons? Hadrick says. Ugh, Darren says. No, I'm serious, Hadrick says. I never noticed. But why enchanted weapons specifically? Shouldn't the shield spell automatically defend you from most types of damage? What, are you cursed or something? And besides, why would that even matter? The shield spell is just a spell that they teach to beginner mages. Nobody really uses it in actual combat. It consumes too much energy, and it barely even absorbs enough damage to prevent you from dying most of the time. The protections against specific types of damage should be much more effective. Not that I really bothered to learn any of those with my very durable giant skin and all. Um, I do like my tap water, and you do ask a lot of questions. White mages have advanced versions of the shield spell, Darren says. They are a lot more cost effective, and I'm not weak against enchanted weapons specifically. I'm vulnerable against all types of physical damage. Remember that time when the captain from the ogre fort hit me with the club and threw me into a wall? I've tried many kinds of protection spells against physical damage, but none of them seem to work for me. The only one that kind of works is the shield spell, but it's barely even working against regular weapons, let alone enchanted ones. Enchanting my armor to be as durable as possible was the only way I found to give me some measure of protection against these types of attacks. Huh, Hadrick says. That's odd. Do you suppose it could have anything to do with the spirit from the magical plane that Araka said you were linked with? Like, maybe the spirit is allergic to earth matter or something. Barry, what do you think? Dawson Leary official, hello, welcome in. How's it going? I'd say that's certainly a possibility. I'd be more inclined to think that he linked himself to the spirit incorrectly. I don't think it's related. He probably just got born this way. I am inclined to go with this one. But if anyone would like to weigh in, now is your chance. I'll give y'all about a minute. Okay. I'd be more inclined to think that he linked himself to the spirit incorrectly. Yeah, Darren says, easy for you to say. You're not a mage, and the only way you've cast magic so far was through that trinket of yours. Even after hearing Araka's explanation, I still don't have any idea how to see this connection between me and my spirit. I've tried every way I could think of to analyze my magical aura for traces of a link to the magical plane, but I don't even know what to look for. That armor of yours is probably better than a shield spell in most cases anyway. I say, it doesn't eat away at your energy, and you don't need to worry about it conflicting with all of your other... Hold on. Did you just imply earlier that you are actually using a shield spell right now? Well, yeah, Darren says. It's the only protection spell that I've got that offers me some measure of defense against physical attacks. I'd have to be a fool not to use it. Then why didn't you write it on this paper? I say. Didn't I tell you to write all of the protection spells that you had cast on yourself on our second day of the tournament without any exceptions? I already told you on the first day that I was using a shield spell, Darren says. And besides, why would it even matter? What does the shield spell have to do with conflicts between protection spells? It has everything to do with them, I say. What the hell, man? Haven't you read any of the books in the Advanced Theory of Magic series written by Azarius? Hey, Darren says. Some of us didn't spend the entirety of our lives nerding it up in libraries. Everything that I've learned about magic, I've learned it from my teachers. Well, in that case, your teachers are all a bunch of idiots, I say. Take that back, Darren says. My white magic teacher was an ex-sage. Do you have any idea how hard it is to become a sage when you only specialize in white magic without any sort of combat training? Not hard enough, apparently, I tell him. Gods be damned, Darren says. Do you have no respect for all the work it takes to... What's going on here? Kate asks us as her and Layla are slowly approaching us with some shopping bags in their hands. What are you two arguing about again? Barry is refusing to acknowledge the effort that is required to... Darren starts to say before I interrupt him. Never mind that, I say. Darren, can you tell me exactly which kind of spell you are using? Exactly? Is it the newer one that gives an advantage against physical attacks? What? Darren says. Oh. Yeah, that's the one. What's Barry doing? Kate asks the others while she sees me flipping through my notebook pages like crazy. He says he found out how Eden managed to put Darren to sleep despite his protections. Hedrick says, apparently it's because of protection overload. And now he's trying to find the two protection spells that are conflicting with each other. Protection overload? Kate says, that does sound like something Darren would do. I found it, I say. The sleep protection spell from Darren's shield spell has an almost identical aura flow to one of his individual sleep protection spells. Look at these two diagrams. I then show them my notebook, flipping the pages between the two diagrams so they can see the resemblance. Are you sure that it's not just because you suck at drawing? Darren says. If your ugly handwriting is anything to go by, I'm not sure how much I would trust your ability to accurately copy a diagram from a book. I frown at Darren. Well, why don't we have a test then? I say. Does anyone here know any sleep spells? I know a sleep spell, Aluna says. It takes a while to cast, and I need to touch him while I do it. But it should be more than enough for what we need. Perfect, I say. Here are the diagrams. You need to make sure to time your sleep spell just right and to aim it at the exact point where the two aura flows intersect. Yes, I know how it works, Aluna says as she takes one quick look at the diagrams, and then she heads towards Darren. Oh, this is good, Darren says. Oh, this should be good, Darren says. Once Aluna reaches Darren, she places the palm of her hand on his right arm and she closes her eyes, trying to visualize the flow of auras. See? Darren says, after about 5 seconds of waiting for Aluna to cast her spell. I told you that you're wasting your time by... Darren does not get to finish what he was saying because his eyes suddenly roll to the back of his head and he falls to the ground like a log. That settles it, Aluna says. The oaf was using conflicting protection spells. Well, what do you know? Hadrick says. Barry was right. I think someone should wake Darren up, though. That does not look like a comfortable position to be sleeping in. Allow me, Aluna says. She then conjures a bucket's worth of water above Darren's head, which she immediately drops on his face. What the... Darren says, as he quickly gets up from the ground, and then he coughs some water out of his lungs. How did I end up on the ground? Take a wild guess, Kate says. No, Darren says. It can't be. Well, Darren, I say, I guess this means that you will now officially be losing your last bit of protection against physical damage. Welcome to the club. No, Darren says, I'm not letting go of the shield. I've worked too hard to learn it. I'd rather give up that other protection spell than stop using the shield. Suit yourself, I say. The sleep protection from your shield is a little weaker than the individual one, though. I don't care, Darren says. Well, as long as you make sure that there are no more conflicts, I say. I pause for a few seconds. So I guess now I am the only one left without proper protection against sleep spells then, I say. Well, technically, I don't have any magical protection against them either, Hedrick says. Giants are naturally immune to sleep spells. Lysathi are also immune to sleep spells, Kate says. They are? I say. What about half Lysathi? No idea, Kate says. Maybe you are only half immune. Half immune? I say. How would that even work? Hey, Aluna, could you try putting me to sleep too, so that we can see what happens? Aluna sighs, and she approaches me, touching my arm with her right hand, just like she did with Darren. After a few seconds, I feel a strong dizziness, and everything around me is starting to get blurry. Damn it, I say, as I feel the world spinning around me. I may as well be put to sleep for all the difference this would make in a fight. I can't even tell up from down anymore. What's happening right now? Am I still standing up? Nah, Hadrick says. You're sitting with your arse on the ground while grabbing your head with both of your hands. All of a sudden, I feel my mind become clear again, and as I raise my head, I see Aluna standing in front of me with her hand on my forehead. What did you do? I ask her. I cast a spell to cure your dizziness, Aluna says as she takes her hand off my forehead. I also have a protection from dizziness spell that I can cast on you, if you want. Given your partial immunity to sleep spells, protection from dizziness should help you against both sleep spells and against spells that attempt to disorient you. Oh, I did the wrong voice. There is a downside, though. However, while you have this spell cast on yourself, you will be a lot more vulnerable to suggestion magic, since the clarity of your thoughts will make it easier for someone to magically insert ideas into your brain. If I cast the protection spell on you now, it should last you for a few weeks, but there would be no problem in recasting it every day or so to be safe. Alright, then go ahead and cast the spell. I'll pass. I don't really like the idea of being vulnerable against suggestion magic. I'm inclined to go with this one, but if anyone would like to weigh in, now is your chance. I will give y'all about a minute. Go ahead. Okay. Alright then, go ahead and cast the spell. Aluna nods, and she begins to say an incantation while she has both of her palms pointed towards me. Once she's done chanting, a white light surrounds me for a few seconds, which then disappears almost as quickly as it appeared. It's done, Aluna says. Great, I say as I get up from the ground. Of course, it would have been even greater if our team's white mage could actually cast any sort of protection spells on anyone but himself. You know, kind of like what every other white mage in existence is capable of doing. Give me a break, Darren says. I already told you. Learning the versions of the spells that can only be cast on myself was easier. I was never planning to work in a team during my travels, so it seemed like a waste of time to learn the more advanced versions of the spells if I'd never get the chance to use them. The barrier that I can cast with my shield has always been more than enough to protect civilians from harm during monster attacks, and it's not like I can just make a few adjustments and change the spells I already know so they can be cast on other people. I'd have to learn entirely different spells for this to work, and we've just got no time for that. Just let it go already. Hey, I'm just saying, I say, if you had actually decided to specialize in only one type of magic like everyone else, instead of going for both enchantment and white magic, this wouldn't have been a problem. Drop it, Darren says. Fine, I say. I guess we're all done here then? Should we get moving? Hold on, Kate says. Layla still needs to get her new backpack enchanted. We can't just walk with these bags in our hands all the way to the palace. All right, Darren says. Give me the backpack. I'll enchant it right away. As soon as Darren is done with the backpack and Layla puts all of her clothes inside it, we all leave the market area and we make our way towards the castle of Thilius once more. As we walk, we begin to tell Kate and Layla about everything that happened with Eden while they were shopping. I also take this opportunity to give everyone more details about my private discussion with Eden during his time freezing spell. Eden said he'd give you the power to stop the calamity threatening to destroy the cities, Darren says. That doesn't make any sense. Didn't he tell us that he would be destroying the cities himself? That's not what he said, I say. His exact words was that the calamity would happen as a direct result of his own actions. Isn't that the same thing, though? Patrick says. Not really, I say. The way he phrased it, it didn't seem like the destruction of the cities would be his main purpose, more like a side effect of whatever he's planning to do. Let's say, for example, that Eden knows for a fact that he will be forced to fight Tyreth personally before the end of this tournament. If the dragon is to be believed, then such a fight would completely raise the continent, which would most likely erase all of Varathia's cities from the map. Damn, Darren says, you might be right. With the dragon declaring war against all of the cities and Eden announcing his return as the creator, I wouldn't be too surprised if the two leaders of the armies ended up clashing before the end of the tournament. That's not all, I say. Eden specifically told us that this calamity would only happen shortly before the end of the tournament. This means that he's expecting the tournament to play a part in triggering this calamity somehow. Maybe the dragon will be waiting for most of the tournament participants to die out before he begins his attack, Hadrick says. That's definitely possible, I say. I'm guessing that the cities of Varathia already have their own defenses against Tyreth's armies, and he's also got the animals to worry about. It would be a pretty bad idea for him to unleash his armies now, when there are mages wandering around the continent, capable of slaughtering hundreds of monsters without much effort. We should let the king know about this, Darren says. He might want to do some preparations in case these events come to pass. Yeah, I say, although I'm not sure if he could actually do anything to protect this city, even if he knew about this stuff in advance. A few flying machines and some mages aren't exactly going to be a lot of help in breaking up the fight between a Stillwater and a dragon. I sigh before I continue. I don't know why I'm getting the feeling that we're going to have to deal with that dragon in one way or another. If we want there to be any organizers left alive to hand us the prize at the end of the tournament. Oh, Darren says. Darren says. And are you going to defeat the dragon by yourself too? Just like you said you'd save all the cities? You've got a busy schedule ahead of you, I'll tell you that. Shut up, I say. I know I can't do it all by myself. I only said that on the spur of the moment because Eden was pissing me off with his defeatist attitude. Luckily, I've got a friend who's a well-known legendary mage that might be able to lend me a hand if things get too rough. He can't cast a proper shield spell to save his life, and he sucks at magical theory, but at least he's decent enough with a sword and a shield. Hey now, is that any way to ask someone for a favor? Darren says with a grin. Where's the head bow? Where's the pleading tone in your voice? Remember, you're speaking with one of the most renowned heroes in the world here. Bow my head and ask for help. Fine, I'll do it all by myself then. Hey, you're the hero, not me. Isn't saving cities supposed to be your job? You know what? On second thought, screw the cities. I'm inclined to go with this one, but if someone would like to pick a different one, now is your chance. I'll give y'all about a minute. Okay. Hey, you're supposed to be the hero, not me. Isn't saving the city supposed to be your job? Sure, Darren says, but the whole idea I had when I came here was to focus on the actual tournament, so I could do a better job as a hero once I've won the Magium, remember? Still, I get what you're saying. The situation in these lands is much worse than I thought it would be. And from what I understand, Thilius should be one of the better cities in Varathia. Something needs to be done. In either case, Kate says, we shouldn't rely too much on Eden's promise to give Barry powers if he succeeds in his task. The terms of their agreement are much too vague, and Eden could very well change his mind at any moment. I agree, Darren says. However, given the vague information we have about his so-called calamity, the only way we can be certain that it doesn't happen is by taking both Eden and the dragon, and that is definitely not going to be an easy task. Don't worry, I say. I know what kind of tricks Eden's using now. I'm sure I'll have them all figured out in no time. I haven't been studying magic all my life for nothing. Ha! Uraka says, now there's something I would love to see. Eden getting beaten by his own tricks. Let's not be too hasty, Darren says. Barry only figured out 2 of his tricks so far. I'm guessing Eden would know hundreds of them after his long life as a Stillwater. Anyway, I'd say we've talked enough about Eden. Let's pick up our pace. We've spent quite a bit of time in that marketplace, so we'd better hurry up if we don't want to leave the king waiting. It takes us about another hour to finally reach the front gates of the king's palace. The king's servant was waiting for us at the entrance, and as soon as we get within hearing range of him, he announces that Golmik is currently waiting for us inside. As we make our way into the throne room, we see that the gnome is sitting on the floor on all fours, with a wrench in his hand, trying to adjust the height of his throne. Just a minute, Golmik says as he tightens one last bolt at the base of his throne. He then gets up from the ground and he gives us each one quick look. I see that the young Lasathi girl has decided to join your group, Golmik says as he turns to Layla. I'm very sorry about your father. He was a respectable inventor and he did not deserve the fate that he got. Unfortunately, there was no way for me to intervene in his trial, even if I suspected that the evidence was forged. For what it's worth, I made sure to cancel his pursuit as soon as he escaped the city, so he at least won't need to watch his back on his way to Allendor. Thank you, Layla writes, not knowing exactly what else to say. You are here for the documents, yes? Golmik says, now turning to us. Follow me to my private room. I will stamp the papers for you there. He goes to pull the lever behind the throne, and the path towards his secret subterranean room opens up once more, just like the last time when we visited the castle. Barry, as usual, the throne room is in your care until I return, Golmik says. Yes, Your Highness, the king's servant says. Barry? Layla writes, looking very confused. Yeah, that's what the king's servant is named, Hadrick says. Well, we go down the stairs towards the secret room. Isn't that hilarious? We've been joking about it for hours after the last time we came here. I see, Layla writes. When we reach the subterranean chamber, the king lays out a few papers on his desk, and he begins to stamp them one by one. I suddenly remembered the Lasathi came to visit me in my holding cell below the arena, and the device that he gave me. I panic, and I start feeling my pockets with both hands to see if the device is still there, but I calm down when I realize that I've already thrown it away while I was heading towards the castle, since I didn't see any reason to hold on to it anymore. So, Darren says while looking towards Golmick, I think there's something else we should let you know about. We ran into Eden on our way to the castle, and he told us that there will be a calamity shortly before the end of this tournament that will destroy all of the cities in Varathia. A calamity that will be triggered by his actions. We are suspecting that he might get into a fight with the dragon Tyrath, which is what will cause all of the damage. I see, Golmick says as he takes a short pause from stamping the documents to think about what Darren had said. Well, if this calamity is indeed of the magnitude that you describe, then it would serve no purpose to try fortifying our defenses. The only way we would survive such a thing is to make sure it doesn't happen at all. Did Eden tell you that this calamity would involve the dragon? No, Darren says, but he implied that destroying the cities is not his actual purpose, even though their eradication would happen due to his actions. A fight between him and the dragon is the only thing that we could think of that would make sense, given these circumstances. Golmick says as he rubs his chin. There is something that I don't fully understand here. Perhaps you could clarify it for me? What exactly is your affiliation with Eden? He has personally intervened to save your lives before, and I see that you know him well enough to have private discussions with him, but I can't tell in what way you are connected to him. Have any of you been acquainted with him before you came to Varathia? No, Darren says. We all met him here for the first time. Then why is he so fixated on you and not any of the other participants? Golmick says. Surely you cannot be the only unique group that has joined this tournament. Actually, for all we know, he may be visiting other groups of mages. He really seems to enjoy messing with Darren's head. From what I understand, it may be because I'm half Lasathi. So, this is the true one. And this is probably what I will go with, but the debate here is whether he wants to tell this information to the king, who they have formed kind of an alliance with, so I don't see any reason to hide this information. But if anyone would like to pick a different option, now is your chance. I will give y'all about a minute. I have to stop soon. My voice is going. Alright, I'll go with this one. From what I understand, it may be because I'm a half Lasathi. Half Lysathi are certainly a rare find nowadays, Golmik says, but why do you think that this would be enough of a reason for him to pick you over all of the other very powerful mages that joined this tournament? Well, I say, he did say once that he liked the diversity of our group. Maybe it's not just about me, but also about everyone else being rather unique cases that you won't find anywhere else. When you put it like that, I suppose you could be right, Golmik says. After all, it's not every day that you meet a group that contains an artificial mage, a girl fused with a banshee, a giant masked as a dwarf. In either case, unless Eden actually decides to tell you his reasons, you're probably not going to have a lot of information to base your assumptions on, given how little you've interacted with him so far. Now then, Golmik says, as he gets a serious expression on it. Golmik says, as he gets a serious look in his eyes, leaving Eden and the Calamity aside, I believe that there was a more pressing issue that we agreed we'd discuss once you'd be free from your imprisonment. Am I correct in assuming that you are all still on board with our plans concerning the Lysathi? Of course, I say, as I take a quick glance towards the others to make sure that none of them had changed their minds in the meantime. What about your new friend? Golmik says. Will she be joining you as well? We haven't told her anything, Kate says, since you said that we shouldn't talk about any of this outside your room. But I think she may want to come with us as well, given the circumstances. Ah, yes, Golmik says, especially since some of the Lysathi you are about to fight are the ones who imprisoned her, and also the ones who conspired with her landlord to sell her father into slavery. Wait, what are you talking about? Layla writes. Why are you fighting the Lysathi? We've been told, Kate says, that there is a select group of Lysathi who reside in the city, and who have been tasked by the other kings of Varathia to keep the Gnome King in check, and to make sure that he does not overstep his boundaries. We intend to rid the king of this problem. You want to kill all the Lysathi in this city? Layla writes, shocked. You can't. If you kill any one of them, the others will find out, and you will be sent back, and they will send back word to their main headquarters. You will become one of their main targets. I would be surprised if I weren't already one of the Lysathi's main targets, Kate says. They should know very well who I am. Actually, the Lysathi will not have time to contact their main headquarters, Golmik says, as we all turn towards him. When I accepted your help, it was because I already had an idea of how you could deal with the problem in a timely manner, without it affecting your tournament schedule. There would have been no use in requesting your aid if there wasn't a quick way to deal with all of the Lysathi at the same time, before they get the chance to alert their allies. What do you mean? Hadrick says. The Lysathi will be holding a meeting in about 2 hours from now, Golmik says, in a subterranean chamber situated not far from this castle. The main purpose of this meeting is to discuss the political implications of the Earl of Allendor's murder, and how it will affect them in the city of Thilius in the coming weeks. At first, this gathering was supposed to be held after your trial and execution. However, as I suspected, Eden's intervention forced them to postpone it until after the end of the arena fights. Since you all managed to survive, I am quite certain that they will have a lot to discuss, especially regarding the reaction that Allendor will be having to this unexpected turn of events. The meeting is mandatory for all the 4 Lusathi who reside in the city, so you will have the opportunity to attack them all at once, without fearing that any of them will find out what happened to their comrades and go into hiding. But how will we get there without being noticed? Darren asks. This room that we are now standing in is connected to a large network of underground tunnels, Golmick says. One of these tunnels will lead you exactly where you need to go. I know this because I've had one of my spies follow Barry through one of the underground corridors and directly to the Lusathi headquarters a few weeks ago. Luckily, none of them know that this room of mine also has a secret entrance to the tunnels, so they haven't bothered to post any guards at this particular entrance. Hold on. Hadrick says, when you say Barry, you're talking about your servant, right? Oh, that's right. I meant my servant. Golmick says, I keep forgetting that I need to specify. Well, if it's your servant, then couldn't you have just asked him for the information directly? Hadrick says. Why would you go through the trouble of having him followed? Oh, Golmick says, smiling. It's because my servant is a traitor. He's been working with the Lusathi for years. That's why I never let him inside my private room. A traitor? Hadrick asks, shocked. What the hell, man? If you've known that he's a traitor for so long, then why do you still keep him around? It's because Barry has never been very smart, Golmick says. He is extremely easy to read, and he also never manages to realize when he's being followed. I'd much rather have him as a plant than someone who would be smart enough to actually fool me. In this way, I get to find out useful information about the Lusathi, such as the exact hour and location of their meeting today. It's very convenient. All I need to do is let slip some seemingly sensitive but ultimately useless information to him every once in a while to avoid suspicion, and I get to have my own spy in the Lusathi organization with minimal effort on my part. So the king's servant is a traitor. Now I understand why that Lusathi who I met in the prison knew about my stat device. It's because I showed it to the servant on my way to the arena. Damn it. I should have been more careful. Does that mean that you will also have your servant killed once we're done with our job? Darren asks. Oh, goodness, no. Golmick says, Barry is harmless. There would be no reason to kill him. He does not know any Lusathi other than the ones in the city, so as soon as those 4 are dealt with, he will revert to being just my servant without any of the spying shenanigans. Do you have some sort of map of the underground tunnels that could help us reach our destination? Kate asks. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do, Golmick says as he takes a folded parchment from his pocket and then begins to unfold it. He lays out the map on the workbench so we all can see it clearly. And then he explains to us in detail which of the tunnels we'll need to take, and where the Lusathi headquarters is located on the map. Araka, can you? Aluna starts starts to say, but she gets interrupted. Yeah, I've got it. Eureka says, hold on a sec. She then conjures a detailed hologram of the underground tunnels, although the map seems to be a little different from how she usually draws it. The lines that represent the edges of the corridors are no longer drawn in the same color. Some of them are blue, while others are green. Is there a reason why you decided to use a different color for some of the corridors? I say. Yeah, the green tunnels are the ones I can't actually detect with my magical sense, Eureka says. I only put them there because they're on the map. They probably have walls and ceilings made with ceridium, which block my magical sense. I have no idea if there are people walking through them, or if they can even be accessed at all. The path to your destination doesn't have any ceridium on it, though, so at the very least you can be sure that you won't encounter any guards on your way there. What about the meeting room? Is anyone inside it right now? Can you sense any tunnels that are not on the king's map? I want to go with this one. I have a feeling someone else will ask this question. But if anyone would like to disagree, now is your chance. Otherwise, I will pick this one in about a minute. Can you sense any tunnels that are not on the king's map? Actually, yes. Eureka says, there are a few. Let me add them to the map. A few seconds after she's done talking, 3 more blue corridors appear on the hologram that is floating in front of her amulet. Hey, look, I say. One of those corridors seems to be linked to one of the tunnels we'll be taking. Seems to be linked to one of the tunnels we'll be taking with one of the ceridium tunnels. And that tunnel also leads towards the Lysathi headquarters. Yeah, but I can't guarantee that the ceridium tunnel is currently functional, Eureka says. Like I said, I only put it there because it's on the map. So, where are we going to wait for the next 2 hours? Darren says. Should we go outside or... Oh, no. You should definitely not go outside, Golmik says. If you leave now and come back only a few minutes before the Lysathi's meeting, my servant may get suspicious and contact them in some way. You can wait right here. I don't really have any chairs in this room, but I've only just cleaned the floor, so you can sit on the ground if you want. He then stamps 2 more documents and he hands them over to us so we can each take a look at them. There you go, the king says. These papers should be enough to absolve you of your crimes, no matter where you go in Varathia. Now, if there's nothing else you need from me, I will be resuming my work on the Lysathi device that was supposed to send you the instructions related to the tournament's objectives, telepathically. I've been trying to get it fixed for more than a week, but I still can't figure out what's wrong with it. So you can imagine how frustrating this has been for me. As Golmet goes back to work on his device, Hadrick puts down his backpack and he reaches within it to pull out a deck of playing cards. So, Hadrick says, anyone up for a game of cards? We spend the next hour or so playing a card game that Hadrick learned from the Dwarven taverns. Apparently, one of the original rules of the game was that the player needed to take a sip of Dwarven ale every time they lost a hand, but we had to scrap this rule for obvious reasons. The game involved a lot of bluffing, so it was no surprise that Layla was the one who came out on top, given that she could read auras to tell if someone was lying. Since I was the one she could get a read on the easiest because of my spiky aura, I eventually got tired of losing every single match, and I decided to take a break to read my notebook some more, in hopes of finding more loopholes that Eden might be using. Hey, Darren, I say, after reading through the notebook for some time. Remember that one time when Eden paralyzed every one of you? Right before he teleported us in front of Thilius? What? Darren says, as he's trying to focus on his cards while listening to me. Oh, yeah, I remember. What about it? How many spells do you have that protect you against paralysis? I say. Just one, Darren says. And the shield does not protect against paralysis, so it's not protection overload. Okay, I say. Is anyone else using protection against paralysis? Yes, I say. Yes, Kate says. I use the spell described in the latest Advanced Theory of Magic book by Azarius. My throat is very sore, so I'm going to end here. I'm losing my voice. Oh, you're still here. Thank you for being here. This was a really good stream. Thank you everyone for hanging out. I'm very tired, so I'm going to go to sleep now, but you all are wonderful, and I hope you have a really good day, or night, or whatever it is, wherever you are. I should be back tomorrow, and I should be streaming Skyrim, and hopefully some Magium afterwards if I end early enough. Good night, everyone.